Hello to my many friends and also to my many illustrious enemies out there on YouTube and on Facebook. Yes, once again, this is another episode of Roosevelt Sounds Off. And this is Roosevelt Sounds Off Part 23. In this particular segment of Roosevelt Sounds Off, I am going to examine from beginning to end the dash cam video of the arrest of Sandra Bland, so we can use for a subject this evening finding out what happened to Sandra Bland. Now, for many of y'all who don't know, Sandra Bland was a 28-year-old woman from the Chicago area. I think that she grew up in Naperville, which is one of our suburbs here in Chicago. And she received a job at her alma mater, and that was Prairie, Texas. Prairie View, Texas, sorry about that. And she was going back or traveling by herself to go back to start this job when she was pulled over by State Trooper Brian Encina. It happened around they were 2 miles outside of Houston, for what I understand, in Waller County. So I found this video on YouTube, the dash cam video, and I'm going to break it down and explain it to the best of my ability from beginning to end. But before I do, there's a couple of things I have to take care of before I do. First of all, I would like to send out my heartfelt condolences to the family of Sandra Bland, because I don't think that anyone, mother or father, should ever, or sister or brother, should ever have to bury a child, especially their younger child. Or these sisters, from what I've seen, are older, and it's so tragic all the way around. And so I send out my condolences and prayers to that family. And also, I would like to send out my condolences to the families of the people who were lost tonight in the movie theater shooting in Lafayette, Louisiana. I hear from watching CNN when I was coming home on the bus tonight that 2 have passed on and like 9 to 10 might be wounded. I'll probably finish watching that after I'm done shooting this video. I'm not feeling so well tonight. I don't know how come or something. I don't know if cold built up in the back of my back, but I got a little bit of pain, but I'm going to go on anyhow. God be my strength, because I know that this video has to get out. And I feel led, for some reason or another, to do something or open this program doing something a little bit different than what I normally do. I feel led on this evening to open this particular segment of Roosevelt Sounds Off with a short prayer. Prayer for us and prayer for everyone as a people, no matter what color or religion and everything that you are, and just prayer for this nation, because surely as you see, as you turn on the TV and watch the news every single day, you probably notice, just like I do, that there is a whole lot going on. So before we get into analyzing this video of the arrest of Sandra Bland, let's pray. Dear God, we come to you on this evening in the name of your darling Son Jesus, praying that you would bless me to have the right words to say as I analyze this video of the arrest of Sandra Bland. Give me the knowledge and the wisdom to separate the right from the wrong. Right now, Lord, over this whole nation, I ask that your peace rest, rule, and abide upon this whole nation. All of the killings and all of the shootings, whether they be by civilian on civilian, white to white, white on black, black on black crime, cop on citizen, citizen on cop. I pray that this is bound right now in the name of your darling Son Jesus. Heal right now, even in the name of your darling Son Jesus. It is some of us tonight who might be looking at this and viewing this video along with me, who might not be feeling so well tonight, Lord. But heal their bodies on tonight, Lord. You said in your word, by your stripes, that we will be healed. We also pray for the families of Sandra Bland. Send them and give them peace right now. Let your Holy Ghost dwell and settle in on them right now. We also pray for the families of the people who were lost in the theater in Lafayette. Let your Holy Ghost send comfort to those bereaved families right now, Lord. And even though I ask for peace across the city of Chicago, peace across this state, even peace across this whole nation, please, I ask you to let your peace dwell within me. I know that I have not always done every single thing right. I have not always said every single thing right. But I'm asking for your forgiveness for my shortcoming in that right now, Lord. Let peace come within me. And let me put out peace to the rest of the viewers. And I bless you right now. We bless your name. And give me the words to say. And give the people who are listening the courage and the ears to hear right now as I analyze this video and talk about the laws of this nation, which is one nation under God and justice for all. All these things I ask in your Son Jesus' name and for his sake. Amen. Okay, now we have gotten all of that out of the way. I just felt led to do that. It was very heavy on me to do that before I started on this evening. So now that I have prayed my way into this video, right now I am going to break down step by step this video of the arrest of Sandra Bland in Prairie View, Texas. Now I already have this queued up on my tablet. Now, and I just wish that I was using something a little bit bigger so I can just point to it and everybody on the screen can see it. So I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be holding it a little bit closer to me because I want to see what's going on, and I'll also be taking time to explain it. So every now and then I will pause certain places in the video to explain certain things, and I'll do my best to keep the tablet aimed at the camera so you all can, have an opportunity out there to see this as I see it. Okay, so we're about to start. Now, it's paused here, and the trooper, Brian Arsenio, he's about to pull up behind the car of Sandra Bland, so I'm going to hit play. Here we go. I just hope this is loud enough. Okay, they're rolling. Okay, they stopped. She stopped right in front of him. I don't know if you all can see. He's about to exit his vehicle. He just slammed his door. And he's going to walk to her right passenger side. Now that I don't understand because she's on the left side. But now he's telling her she failed to signal. I guess he's asking her, is anything wrong? I guess she's trying to go and get him her information. You know, the information that a police officer might ask you for. Which is your license, registration, and proof of insurance. He asked her how long she's been in Texas. Which technically to me, this is just how I see it, it's really nobody's business because it has nothing to do with the matter at hand or the matter as to why he pulled her over.
Do you have a driver's license?
I guess he wants to see her driver's license. Maybe she gave him the wrong thing. But we'll continue watching. It starts off very nicely, very cordial, as you see.
Where are you headed to now?
And now asking her where she's going is really none of his business. But that's my interpretation. He said give him a few minutes. He's walking back, as you see, to his vehicle. Because basically whenever a cop pulls you over and they actually tell you give me a few minutes, they're actually taking the time to run your license number or run your address and your name to see if you have warrants, to see if you want it for any kind of a thing. You know, just, I guess so they can stick it to you more if they can. Okay, now he's still in the car. Now he's going to stay in the car like maybe 5 minutes or more. So I'm going to see if I could take this and move this up a little bit just to speed up the time a little. He's still in the car. I tried to go a little bit past the long space, because it's actually a long space. I guess running somebody's name takes a long time, you know, at least they say. Okay, he's walking back to her driver's side.
Okay, ma'am. You okay?
I'm waiting on you. This is your job. I'm waiting on you. What do you want me
Well,
to
you
do?
seem very irritated.
Now, I'm going to pause it to say something. Now, I don't know if you heard it, but he said you seem very irritated. Now, tell me, you're a human being. I'm pretty sure some of you all out there have gotten pulled over by the police. When you get pulled over by the police on a traffic stop, if you're about to get a ticket, are you very happy or are you irritated? You know, ask yourself the question. And he asked her a question, and right now I'm going to try my best to play her answer.
Out of your way, you're speeding up, tailing me, so I move over and you stop me. So yeah, I am a little irritated, but that doesn't stop you from giving me a ticket.
Are you done?
Okay, now, he for all of y'all who didn't hear it, he after she said that why she was irritated, that he came up behind her and seemed like he followed her to give her a ticket, he smartly asked her, "Are you done?" Now, he had already asked the question, and she answered his question, but it just seems to me like he didn't like the response to her answer to the question. Let's see if we can go a little bit further.
No, I mean, I told you. So now I'm done, yeah.
You mind putting out your cigarette?
Now, he's telling her to put out her cigarette. Now, it is not illegal to smoke in your vehicle. That is not an illegal or an arrestable defense. The only thing that would be illegal according to the law is if you were doing drugs in your vehicle, if you had an empty container in your vehicle, or, you know, if you were smoking that other stuff, and I'm pretty sure when I say other stuff, you all know what I mean. But if you're just simply smoking a regular, normal textbook cigarette, that is not illegal. But right now, he's about to ask her to step out the car, all because she let him know about her rights is that she's smoking in her car. Let's go further.
I'm in my car, but I have to put out my cigarette.
Well, you can step on out now.
Now, he's telling her to step out of the car for refusing to put out a cigarette in her own private vehicle. Now, technically, by law, the only reason why an officer should tell anyone to exit a vehicle is only if they're being placed under arrest. And right now, she is not being placed under arrest. And even if she was being placed under arrest, this is something that he should have told her as to that she's being placed under arrest and why she's being placed under arrest, but he just tells her to step out the vehicle. So let's go a little bit further.
Step out of the car.
He's telling her to step out the car.
Out of the car.
His voice gets
You have the right. Now step
more
out.
raised.
I will remove you.
He's threatening to remove her from the car.
Step out, or I will remove
I
you.
am getting removed for a failure.
Step out, or
He's
I will
telling her to
remove
step
you.
out,
I'll
but
give you a
she's
lawful order.
refusing. Now, he said, I have to pause that again, he's giving her a lawful order. Now, I had some military training, and I was always taught so carefully that the only kind of a way that when a lawful order is given, that it has to reasonably line up with the law. If it does not line up with the law itself, I mean what is written in black and white, then it is not a lawful order. It's just the whim of that particular officer who is pulling you over, because she didn't break any laws by staying in her vehicle smoking a cigarette. And technically, if she refused to get out, he is not supposed to handle her, because in the next scene I'm going to show you, he actually reaches his hand in her car and physically snatches her out of the car. Really, he was supposed to call first for a female officer, but he doesn't do that until later. And I guess she's going to grab her phone. Now he's dragging her out the car. Now he's telling her that she's under arrest. But right now he's not saying what she's under arrest for. He's saying, well, you are under arrest. And she's saying, for what? For what? And he's not saying why she's under arrest. Let's go further. Now he's asking for another unit now.
Get out of the car now.
Why am I being apprehended? You're trying to give me a
I
ticket.
said get out of the car.
Why am I being apprehended? You
I'm
open
giving you
my
a
car
lawful
door.
order.
You
I'm
open
gonna
my
drag
car
you
door.
out of here.
So you gonna drag me out of my car?
Get out of the car.
Now he yells at her. And he just pulled his taser, threatening, and I quote, "I will light you up."
Get over there.
And now he takes her out the car, and he takes her out of the range of the camera.
Get off the phone.
If she has the phone in her hand, I guess she's attempting to make a call or record the stop.
Put your phone down right now.
He's telling her to put the phone down. Now you gotta excuse some of the language on here.
Come over here now.
You feeling good about
Stand right here.
feeling good about yourself?
Stand right there.
Feel your signal. You feel real good
Turn
about
around.
yourself, don't you?
Turn
You
around.
feel good about yourself, don't
Turn around now.
you? What are you?
Put your hands
Now they're still off
Why can't you tell me?
of the range of the camera. Now these cars have dash cams for a reason, so these traffic stops can be recorded. But whenever an officer wants to do something that is shady or underhanded, a whole lot of them will take you out of the range of the camera so it can't be seen. So therefore they can do and say almost any kind of a thing, and basically they'll give them the benefit of the doubt before they will you. Let's go further.
I'm being arrested.
Turn around.
He's not telling her still why she's being arrested.
Why will you not tell me
You're not
what's going on?
complying.
I'm not complying because you just pulled me out of my car.
Turn around.
Are you fucking kidding me? This is some bullshit.
Put your hands
You know
behind
it
your
is.
back.
Because you know this is straight bullshit and you full of shit. Full of straight shit. That's how y'all is. Scared fucking cops. South Carolina got y'all bitch ass scared. That's all it is. Fucking scared of the people.
I guess he's cuffing her from what I hear, because they're still off the range of the camera.
Are you fucking serious? Oh, I can't wait till we go to court. Oh, I can't wait. I cannot wait till we go to court. I can't wait. Oh, I can't wait. You want me to sit down now?
No.
Or you gonna throw me to the floor? That'll make you feel better about yourself?
Knock it off.
No, that'll make you feel better about yourself? That make you feel real good, won't it? Pussy ass. Fucking pussy. For a failure signal, you doing all of this. The little ass prayer you say, my God.
They're still off camera range.
Warning. Until now, you're going to jail.
I'm getting it for what?
You can come read. Come read right.
I'm getting a warning for what?
Stay right
For
here.
what?
Now they're back on the range of the camera.
Stay right
Get
here.
your fucking mind right. Let me. Oh, I'm going
He can't make up his mind what he wants to do.
a pussy ass cop for a fucking signal. You are taking me to jail. What a pussy. What a pussy. What a pussy. You got to break my fucking leg.
I guess he's grabbing her by the arm.
You ain't fooling me, goddammit.
Stay right there.
Don't touch me. Fucking pussy for a traffic signal. You know this bullshit. For a traffic signal.
Come read right over here. This right here says a warning. You started creating a problem.
He's back on camera, just went back off camera.
That's
Do
illegal.
it feel like I got anything on me? This is a fucking nasty dress.
Remove your glasses.
This is a nasty dress.
Come on over here.
Come on in. Fucking asshole. You're about to break my wrist. Can you stop?
He's snatching her, I guess. It sounds like he's taking her to the ground. It doesn't sound so good.
Stop it.
Stop resisting, man.
Now this is a black female officer who came on the scene, who's not making it any better, of course. Now, how sensitive or insensitive can that be? Yet a whole lot of you all who are my critics tell me that I'm wrong in certain things I've said about the police. Here, this just goes a textbook example to show you no sympathy, no empathy, no feeling. Now, I guess when her head hit the ground, she tried to tell him that she had epilepsy. He said, good. And the female officer who's along with him, who then just joined in on his garbage, has said, well, that's what you get when you resist. Like keeping somebody in custody or putting somebody in custody is much more important than their personal health. Let's see if we can go a little bit further. His knee is in her back.
You need to leave.
I guess they're telling somebody that they need to leave who's around. Because sometimes whenever police officers do some dirt, they don't want too many eyes on them. That's pretty much what that is.
For a warning.
He's telling her she was getting a warning.
For resisting arrest. Stand up.
If I could, I can't
roll
even.
over.
I can't even fucking feel my arm.
Tuck your knee in. Tuck your knee in.
Goddamn. I can't.
Listen, you gotta sit up on your butt.
Slam my head into the ground.
Sit
Dude,
up on
not
your
even
butt.
care about that. How he's telling me to do it. I can't even hear. Yes, you can.
Now she's saying that she can't hear. The trooper's like, well, yes, you can. How does she know? Is she God?
I swear to God. All of that for a traffic signal. Thank you for recording. Thank you. For a traffic signal. Slam me into the ground and everything. Everything. I hope y'all feel
This officer saw everything.
And he says the officer saw everything when she just came up on the scene after most of this happened, saying that she's not talking to her.
2547 counter. Send me the first available for arrest.
I guess he's asking for another car to pick her up for an arrest.
Yeah, I'm good. She started yanking away and then kicked me, so I took her straight
Yeah,
to the
and
ground.
there you got it right there.
So the thing is, he says, we're going to end that because I think they put her in the back of the car already. Now he says that she kicked him. But we don't completely know that because whatever happened, it happened off of the view of camera. And obviously he was okay and wasn't hurt. This is supposed to be a big, strong, strapping man, but as soon as you do something to a police officer, you know, they claim like, you know, they're so hurt or boo-hoo, pretty much. And I'm going to give my, you know, take on this. Now, I would have to say, looking at this video several times on today, that I would have to say egos and personalities and emotions kind of got in the way on both parts. You know, she was upset that she got pulled over for a traffic stop because sometimes, you know, it's just basically a waste of your time. I mean, a whole lot of police officers, they see a whole lot of stuff. It's just something that's very, very minor that happens. I mean, Eric Garner got killed over something that was minor. Walter Scott was killed by shot by police in the back for something that was minor. This woman ended up going to jail and ended up being hung, or they said that it was suicide, for something that is minor. And it seems like in this nation, when it comes down to policing, we really, really major in the minors. We really do. And I think a whole lot of these minor arrests and minor stops need to stop. Because it didn't have to go this way, all because of a lane change with no signal. What's that? I mean, come on now. Who wants to... That's how come she was upset that she was stopped. Who wants to waste time dealing with that? Really? All all over a lane change with no signal, that is not a big deal. Eric Garner selling loose cigarettes on the street, that is not a big deal. It's not like the both of them went out and murdered someone. Because sometimes the same cops, when it comes down to people who have gangbanged or maybe sold drugs, or worse still, actually killed people and this kind of thing, they take their time in bringing them in and they handle them all so nicely. They handled the shooter who shot up the theater in Colorado a couple of years ago even nicer than they handled Sandra Bland. They handled Dylan Roof, who killed 9 people in the Mother Emanuel AME Church in Charleston, South Carolina, nicer than that. People who have committed horrible and more horrific crimes have been treated much more nicer than people who have committed minor crimes. These punishment for minor crimes, it needs to stop. I don't think that police or policing needs to enforce minor crap. But now, with that being said, I feel that there is also a responsibility, maybe on the part of us people. Now, I've talked to my cousin about this, one of my cousins, and one of her best friends about this today. And both of them say that she knew her rights because as a citizen of this nation, we live under the United States Constitution. So yes, we're we're supposed to know our rights. But she was right in a whole lot of things that she said. But my cousin said there is a such thing as carrying something too far and possibly becoming dead right. Now, she got upset in a while when she was taken from, first of all, the trooper, he violated her civil rights because he had no right. And this is what the Texas state troopers even found that were over him, that he had no right to ask her to even exit the vehicle. So right now, this particular trooper, Brian Encinia, has been taken off of patrol and placed on desk duty for violating her rights because all of this crap led up to her being in jail. He violated her rights. Smoking a cigarette in your car is not an arrestable defense. You cannot be arrested for smoking a cigarette in your car. So now, I would never smoke in a car because, you know, for all of you all out there who know me and know me personally for years, you know that I don't smoke. And personally, I can't stand the smell of the stuff. It smells like crap to me. But if that's something that you want to do in the privacy of your own vehicle or in the privacy of your own home, who am I, the police, or the government, or whoever, to stop you? Those are your lungs. They don't have nothing to do with me. So he had no right to tell her to exit the vehicle, all because she was smoking. Now, when she did exit the vehicle, or before she exited the vehicle, the main reason why she did exit is because he threatened her with a taser. He said, and I quote again, "I will light you up." Very unprofessional. He didn't have to pull a taser, all because she refused to exit the vehicle. And when she got out the vehicle, everything was cordial up until the whole thing just went south. Yes, you heard, for all of y'all who did hear and see the uncut footage, that she started cursing at him. Now, legally, you cannot really even go to jail for cursing at a police officer. It's really not illegal. According to the law, the only thing that is illegal whenever you're dealing with the police is if you're using threatening language. In other words, you tell the police officer, "I'm going to kill you," or "I'm going to whoop you," or you know what. Then they have a reason to take you to jail because you're using threatening language against the law enforcement official. But if you're just cursing and everything all because you're frustrated, that is not illegal to do. Now, I'm not trying to say on her part, it might not be a nice thing to do. Having an attitude with police or having a bad tone with law enforcement, that might not be the nicest thing to do. But at the same time, the law cannot arrest people and throw every single body in jail all because you did something that they didn't like that wasn't so nice. So what? Big deal. Join the crowd. Stuff happens to all of us every single day that's not so nice. We don't get out of pocket like that. And when they train you in the academy, they teach you and take you through certain courses to teach you how to keep your feelings and emotions in check. No matter what happens. Because whenever you're out here on the street, whenever you're a police officer, you're going to encounter all kinds. You're going to encounter nice people, good people, evil people, bad people, black people, white people, Asian people, Latin people, Christian, Muslim, Hindu, Jew, Buddhist, Jain, Zoroastrian, non-denominational, all kinds of... It's because here in America, we are a melting pot of all races, all creeds, colors, and religions here. So it takes all of us to make up this great nation in which we live. I told a friend of mine recently when we talked last week, I said that how come a whole lot of us, whether we be black or white, just can't have a society where we live all by ourselves. And I'm talking about us good black people and good white people, just live all together and every single thing will be harmony. We won't have the thugs and the ghetto types of women and the racist white folks in our society. She told me, first of all, that's not really possible. Because first of all, this is not heaven. It's the earth. We're still down here on earth. And things are just not so right and so perfect. And even she said, you got to take the good with the bad. These are the people that you will encounter. So I just feel if any police officer can't deal with that, they don't need to be in that job. And usually whenever they go and they shoot somebody or shoot somebody who's unarmed, one of the first things that they always say is that I was in fear for my life. But to me, and a whole lot of people think I'm silly for saying it, but I'm going to say it anyway. You knew good and well what you were taking on when you took this job. You knew that you might encounter these kind of people, and you knew that it's a possibility, because this is told to you even in the academy, that it's possible that one day you might not come home. My cousin told me tonight, one of my other cousins told me, it's kind of like trying to say that you want to work as a firefighter, but you're scared of fire. But somebody has to do it. So if you're so scared and don't want to deal with the public, or if you're having a bad day, stay at home. Go home early. Just stay in the house. That way you can maintain a good personality and a good rapport with everyone. And it just seems like in this country, especially like in Texas or even certain places in the South, and even it can even happen here in Chicago, when police tell people something, even if they tell you something that is completely wrong or unlawful, they just expect every single body just to go along with it. Why? All because they said it. Negro, just because you're behind, when you pull your drawers down, just because your behind opens like the Bible doesn't mean that your word is the gospel. They think that every single thing that they say is right and is golden. But a whole lot of it, if you know your law, sometimes is not. They like to feed upon people who don't know their rights. And as soon as you are a person who is outspoken, and you tell them or let them know right away that you know your rights, and sir, ma'am, or officer, whatever you choose to call him or her, you cannot do this to me because I know my rights. Oh, that really just pisses them off. Because then they know they just can't run roughshod over you like they do every single body else in society. You're supposed to know your rights. I mean, in the rights of the Constitution, these are inevitable. That means that they come free as long as you live in this country, and they cannot be changed according to the document of the U.S. Constitution, not even by statute. And a whole lot of these officers, is certain things that they do, have violated the rights of the Constitution, and they shouldn't, because when you graduate from that academy, and I've said this before even in a previous video, but I think that at this point it bears repeating, that when you graduate from the academy and you pin on that badge and you raise your right hand and you swear or affirm to God, depending on what religion you are, that you will protect the citizens of the city that you patrol in, and that you will uphold the Constitution of that state that you serve in, and also Also, the Constitution of the United States of America. So to tell someone something wrong just because you think that you can get away with it, because most people are ignorant to the law and don't know their rights, is completely wrong on police officers' behalf, and I think it needs a fixing. Because this thing has gone too far. Now it's the Sandra Bland case. Before it was Freddie Gray. Before that, it was Walter Scott. Who is it going to be in the next 2 weeks, I wonder? Could it be me? Could it be you? And I get a whole lot of flack because I stand up and I talk about this kind of stuff. Somebody needs to talk about it. Somebody wants to hear it. Because if somebody doesn't talk about it, then this could happen to me. This could happen to you. This could happen to your son. This could happen to your daughter. You could be bearing a child all because of the stupidity of a police officer. And is that right to do? And a whole lot of people, and one guy in particular who's a friend of mine, matter of fact, I've had him on as a guest a couple of years ago. Not going to say his name, but I'm going to say what he had told me. He told me that he feels that black people, we're talking about us now, fly off the handle too fast when it comes down to authority. And that he told me that he feels, and sometimes I agree, that if you feel like an officer is violating your rights, and an officer has done something wrong to you or arrests you for no reason, just go on and let the officer do his thing. Just let him make his arrest, and then just sort it out later in court. But sometimes that works, but most of the time it doesn't, because even when these things end up in court and you find officers who have been found for years, have a history of violating the rights of the citizens, nothing ever happens. So a whole lot of people, including Sandra Bland, I guess felt like they needed to hold court on the street and say whatever it was that they were going to say. Because it comes a time that no matter what, you have to stand up. Because if people did not stand up, we would not have had Rosa Parks, who refused to give her seat to a white man in Montgomery, Alabama back in 1955. That was the spark, or one of the catalysts, for our modern civil rights movement. If we didn't have people like this who stood up, who had sit-ins at stores and at lunch counters, who took a chance back in the 50s and 60s on being beaten, had dogs sicked on them and water hoses sprayed on them. These people took a stand for what it was that was right. And right now, this contributes, it has earned us some of the freedoms that which we enjoy today. Why? Because somebody had the courage enough to stand up, even if they had to die to do so. Martin Luther King stood up and died to do so. Malcolm X stood up and died to do so. Huey Newton stood up and ended up in jail for many years and suffered to do so. All of these people stood up for what was right. And this what led to some of the freedoms that we have right now. I don't know if we would have some of the freedoms right now if it was not for courageous people like this and others who stood up. Sandra Bland, I would have to say, to me, I just hate that it ended so tragically, but I have to say, to me, in my eyes, now she probably could have done things a little bit different. Now she might have, cursed at the police and everything, and maybe it might not have been nice, and maybe she could have done that a little bit differently, but still, when it comes down to it, in my eyes, she's a hero. She stood up for what she felt was right. Sometimes you have to do that even if it might mean death. Because right now, you never know. Because of this, some changes might come to Prairie View and come from to the Texas State Troopers. I just hate the fact that she went to jail after she was arrested, and they said that they gave her a $5,000 bond. And I guess she called her family, and the family couldn't raise the money. And so she was pretty much left there for 2 or 3 days. After 2 or 3 days, they found her in her cell, hung. Now, they tried to say that it was suicide, but I wasn't there. I don't know what they did in the county jail or what they didn't do. I'm not God. I didn't appear through the walls, but I know that God never sleeps. God sees all, because it said in his word that his eyes are running to and fro through the earth, beholding the good and all of the evil. So I know that whatever went on, whether it was right or whether it's wrong, I know that God saw and God knows. And even though, and I know that I get a whole lot of flack from people. Matter of fact, this same person, a couple of weeks ago when I posted one of my other videos, he sent me a text on Facebook questioning my belief in God and questioning my Christianity. Because I think that in this country, all of us, whether especially blacks, but I believe some whites, especially poor whites and Asians and Latinos too, have been so conditioned in this country to just go along, to get along with whatever is wrong, that, a whole lot of people always try to say, no matter what, let God handle it. Let God do this. Let God do that. Don't worry, even though you might be poor, even though you might be uneducated, even though you might be in jail, even though you got shot by a white man and called a racial slur, even though you got robbed by one of your own and had your wallet and cell phone taken, even though you got your butt beat and kicked by the police officers, thrown in jail, and they found you 3 days later in a cell hung up by your neck. Go on in every single day life. Don't worry about it. But I think that we need to start telling people to worry about these things. We need to get out of this comfort zone that we are sitting in this country. It is time to wake up. I'm going to yell, just like they said in that Spike Lee movie from some years ago. I believe it was School Days. Watched it yesterday. Excuse me while I get this out. Wake up! Wake up! One more time for all y'all who didn't hear me. Wake up! We have been sleeping too long to continue to allow these kind of things to happen within this country. We need to wake up. So going along, he questioned my Christianity. He questioned my YouTube program. He said your YouTube program promotes hate and separation, and it is not an aid or help to the body of Christ. It is only a deterrent or a disgrace to the body of Christ. I mean, maybe it might not be for him, but I know deep down in my heart that I am for somebody. Now, if you feel this particular way, and I'm saying this to this particular viewer right now, then, I mean, it is obvious that Roosevelt A. Slaughter might not be for you. Because if you felt any differently, you might have I've encouraged you many times, to have your own YouTube channel doing, whatever. But right now, this is Roosevelt Sounds Off. And when you and every single body else out there get your own YouTube channel, then you can say what you want, and then you can run it the way you want to. But as long as I have Roosevelt Sounds Off, it will be run the way I want to run it. Now, in his defense, I do try my best to be right, but I'm only giving my opinion also too as to what I see. Trying to explain certain things and put on my logic hat. It's the hat that most of us men wear very, very well. And trying to look at these things and trying to see when something is not right. Sandra Bland dying in jail or being hung up by the neck. This is not right. Because I got to finish this up too, that they asked her when they were checking her in, has she ever been depressed? Does she feel depressed now? Has she ever attempted suicide? And she said yes, allegedly. A couple of years ago, I think that they claim that she tried to commit suicide over the death of a child that she was carrying that miscarried. But she said that she's been doing good ever since. She even admitted, and I'm going to get to this in a second too, she also had a YouTube channel similar to me called Sandra Speaks, that she was depressed, and they tried to use all of this against her, but you know how the news media does, right? They only take a little piece of something or a little snippet and try to make a full story of it and make you think differently and think a bad thing about a particular person. She wasn't saying that she was depressed now. She was saying at one time she was depressed, but, you know, talking about how through God and believing in something that is much more bigger and deeper and wider than yourself, how, you know, you can get through these things. And, you know, because she got through it. That's what it was. But the woman had too much to live for. Just graduated from college. Got an opportunity, 2 job offers. It took this one in her automata, driving down to Texas. It ends up getting killed. No one should have to get killed just to try to change their life, to go to another state over a simple, stupid traffic stop that never should have happened in the first place. It's sometimes looking at all of this, and I have said this in a previous video, but as I've said before, some of these things bear repeating because I got to keep everyone in remembrance of these things. That it seems like whenever you speak out about these kind of things, like Sandra Bland and like me, yours truly, it seems like the government or police, they target you. And it seems like, you know, people, they speak down on you. I mean, I was threatened by certain police officials and everything when I posted my first video not to say certain things. And this is my story, and I'm telling what happened to me, and I was threatened not to speak. So some people also feels that she was targeted because just like me, she did YouTube programs dealing with these type of subjects like race or religion and just everyday life. And sometimes whenever you're talking like this, somebody don't like it. But I know it's for somebody. I know that somebody is being encouraged. I know that somebody is being helped. I know that somebody possibly is even being blessed by this video right now. At least I hope and pray that you are. We need to get out of this lapsadaisical attitude talking about, well, you know, no matter what bad happens in the community and with police and policing, that, hey man, this just is what it is. Anytime you say it is what it is, that just means that you have just given up. That you just go around and accept any kind of a thing. That you won't go around and stand up for your rights like she tried to do. Like I said, she could have done it better. But that is just how it happened. And I don't condone anyone, especially looking at it from the other side now, if you are now traveling to another state, especially in the South, and you might not know this particular state. You might know Illinois, you might know Chicago, but you don't know Texas. They always have this saying, don't mess with Texas. Because down there they have a whole different culture and a whole different way of how they do things. So maybe sometimes some people could be right that the best thing to do is just not to say anything, just to take the ticket or warning and just to move on. But I think that he also behaved badly because I think that he agitated the situation because he asked her specifically, is there anything wrong? You seem a little bit irritated. And she answered him, and he only got upset only because he didn't like her answer. So therefore he caught an attitude or got mad, all because she was mad. And any time that an officer to me acts like this, he is no better than a female. Because why? He let his emotions get in the way. He got that, you know, word for word and got that last word demon. You know, the kind of demon that us men try to complain that a whole lot of you women have. You know, to where if a woman gets into an argument with a man or something, or a woman gets into an argument with another woman, you know, sometimes she's like the main one who feels like she always got to have the last word. It's pretty much the same thing with this here. He was the type who wanted to have the last word. Why? All because he had a badge and a gun and a taser, and he had the title of authority on his side, and he thought that he could misuse it that on someone that he thought was ignorant of their rights and not know the law. But surprising the fact is that she did. And right now he's on death duty, and I hope that he gets fired, and he needs to be brought up on charges. She lost her life, and even my little cousin, my favorite cousin tonight, told me that he needs to lose his life. Now, don't get confused out there, y'all, when I say lose his life. I'm not trying to say die, but he needs to be stripped of his police powers. He needs to be stripped of his job. He needs to be stripped of his peace officer's license. Because one of the roles of being a peace officer is that you're trying to promote peace, not cause more confusion. He needs to be prosecuted and thrown in jail. He needs to lose his life. So right now, we are waiting to see how this whole thing plays out. Because they found today, this is an update to the story because I've been watching this all day on CNN, HLN, MSNBC, that they released her autopsy report. And coroner, I guess, found that she died because of a self-inflicted hanging. And they also found that, I think this is something else that they brought out just to try to make her look bad. Excuse me. They said that they found evidence of THC or marijuana in her system, and they said it could be a couple of more days before they know exactly like when she took the marijuana or smoked the marijuana and how much or whatever. But either way, no matter how you cut it, no matter how we talk about it, I think that this is a very, very tragic case and a very, very tragic circumstance. It's a shame that a family has to bury their 28-year-old loved one. And I'm so glad that her family is also going to have their own independent autopsy done on her body. And I hope they examine her from head to toe. I even hope that they do a rape kit, because we don't know what happened in that jail. They could have done anything to her and killed her or choked her just to shut her up. I mean, because it's surprising, because for some of you all who don't know, there was a hanging in that exact jail back in 2012 of a black person under mysterious circumstances. Only difference is no one knows about it because that case never hit the news. So the death of Sandra Bland, I believe, is going to shed light on a whole lot of these things that happened within that jail. There were crimes committed in that jail. Possibly. So if there were any crimes allegedly committed in that jail, her death will shed light upon that. So right now, I guess they are flying her body back here to the Chicago area, and she will be funeralized here in a suburb of Lisle at the DuPage AME Church on this Saturday. I wish I could make the funeral. I wish I could reach out to that family and hug them. Because truly, whether it was his fault, whether it was her fault, no one deserves to die over a simple traffic stop. This is not right. And I think that police officers need to be taken in, and I think that they need to be retaught and retrained, and even how to have sensitivity and sympathy and empathy for others. And not just be so anxious and so in a hurry to make an arrest that they disregard and look past people as just only being human. That's all we ask us citizens, is just to be treated like we are human beings. That's all we want. If we could get that, I think that every single thing will be okay. If we could be respected and spoken to in a nice way by law enforcement, that would be okay. Don't come to us and just curse us out just because you can. Just because you can do something doesn't mean that it's right for you to do it. And likewise for us. I mean, my cousin, one of my other cousins, she said that she also believes in the golden rule. She says that sometimes some of us as citizens don't always treat and don't always speak to police officers with respect like we should. She says that she believes in the golden rule: you do unto others as you would have them do unto you, because she says that is God, and that is the thing that God and his son Jesus love. I have to tell you what God loves. And I think that falls on both ends, whether it's citizens or it's law enforcement. We need to all do a better job with respecting and loving each other in this American society. So right now I'm going to wrap up, and it was good speaking to all of you all on this topic of finding out what happened to Sandra Bland, and hopefully I will see all of you next time. Peace and blessings to all. May God bless and shine his blessings down upon all of you. God bless YouTube for me bringing forth these programs and being able to say something encouraging, and as well as other people on YouTube trying to say encouraging things. And God bless, most of all, God bless America. And I'll see you next time with another episode of Roosevelt Sounds Off. Peace for now.